Hey, creative writers. Today we're going to talk about some different things, ways to come up with characters. We talked a little bit about setting. I want to show you some other things and get you thinking so that you can start writing. So let's go.
First thing we're going to do is going to wander this way up to a few places just in this area. Going up. Wait a minute. These are stairs. Stairs lead up. They lead down. They lead somewhere. Looking at these stairs, granted we see the little flower pot. It's kind of old. Describe them and also imagine there's something at the top. Why are you going up those stairs? What's waiting at the top? It can be a poem. It can be a short story. It can be positive. It can be negative. It can be happy. It can be scary. It's up to you. It can be nostalgic and remembering, or it can be something totally out of this world. Imagine you're walking along this pathway. Who is walking? Who is your character? You see the shadow and you think, oh, it's you. Is it? Maybe there's no shadow now. Who's walking along? And where are they going? Let that be another start. And that's supposedly shadows from the trees. But is it? You decide.
Characters are so important to stories, but characters don't have to be people. Characters can be all kinds of things. So let me show you a few things that could be characters. We talked about the frog from the last time. We have, and I'll see if I can turn this around so you can see it. In fact, I'll just turn it off and show you what's your first
character. Are these guys? Or actually they're girls. They're chickens. They're already here talking. You can't come out. Maybe it needs a name. Maybe what is she doing? She had something to say. No, you can't come out. So, think about those chickens. Create a story about these chickens. But they're not really chickens. What are they? Maybe they are chickens. What makes them special? What makes them stand out? Ooh, they're going after that spider. Look at that. Ooh, you got it. You can always tell that story.
Characters can be people like your uncle or your aunt. They can be people that you meet, your teachers, your friends. You can base characters using a lot of those. But characters don't have to be a living, breathing person or animal. They can actually be objects. A friend of mine would name her car. She named it Leonard. So whenever she would say, oh, Leonard didn't come to school today. He had to go. He wasn't feeling well. That meant Leonard was in the shop. It was her car. So think about it. If you were to name a car or your backpack or if you're driving a Mustang, it's going to have a different name than a minivan, right? So come up with using some objects like that and give them names and explain why they would be named that. Also, think about objects. I had a purse that I always carried that was really just sort of plain, just simple. I named her Jane. I had fish tanks, which was fun. And it was Bruce and Margaret. So if anybody called, I could say, oh, I can't help you right now. I'm dealing with Bruce right now, or I'm hanging out with Margaret. Sounds a little odd, but everything can be a character and everything can have a story to tell. You're the writer. You're the one who gets to create that story. So be creative. Sometimes stories can be led by sound. Maybe a favorite song you hear or noise and it reminds you of something. Or maybe it's the trigger and the start of the story. On my door, I have bells, sleigh bells. For me, I think about Christmas, and you're thinking, but it's August or July, and you're having sleigh bells on your door. Well, it's also a natural way when somebody opens and closes a door to know when somebody is here. So think about that in terms of sound. What sounds that you hear in nature? What are some sounds that you hear at home? Natural sounds and man-made sounds. Another thing would be simply this. You hear the creaking of the door? That also gives a real image. Who's opening that door? Is it frightening? Is it exciting? You decide. You're the writer. Lastly, it can be this kind of door. Slam door. That communicates a lot too. So you decide whether or not that sound tells the story in a positive way and or really adventure, or is it something that's a mystery? Is it something that's romantic? Is it something that's more of a sad story? Could it be a story about a situation that might be a little scary? You are the writer, so you're in control of how this story is told. Use sounds to create your stories. Again, you're the writer. Can't wait to hear it. So this time we talked about characters that come from objects, or characters that come from animals that you normally wouldn't think of as a person. We talked about the importance of names, even if you're naming an inanimate object like a car or a purse. We also thought about sounds and how sounds can impact how a story is told, or sounds can influence how a story is told. So think about those things as you put together that story. Remember, stories don't have to be written out like you read in a book. Stories can also be told just through dialogue, people talking. And as they're talking, it's like when you go to the store and the conversation that you have with the clerk who's there, or in the classroom, and the conversation you have with your teacher or with a student next to you that you're not really friends with, but that conversation can be a story. Just the dialogue, back and forth talking. You can also just use very specific words written in a way that it sort of tells a story, but it's more like a poem. Most of the time people think poetry has to rhyme, and that's not true at all. If you like to make it rhyme, go right ahead. But maybe list the colors and the things you saw, and then describe how you felt when you saw the chickens, when you saw the chicken get a hold of that big spider, when you saw the door or heard the bells. Again, you don't have to make it rhyme. You just have to make it show clear images, as though you can see it, smell it, taste it, feel it, all those things. So even if I'm not there, it's as though I am there, because you've used the power of words to create the things that you saw to share with someone who isn't able to see it or is not seeing the same things that you are. So we'll have another video, but right now, choose those things carefully and write. Have a great day.